And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited. And as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, I want to work through with you some of the benefits that come with real estate investing, some of the benefits that real estate investing can bring to your life, things you may not have thought about before, or maybe not gone far enough down the linear progression to think about these bigger picture things that can affect your life. And I've got 10 benefits, in fact, that I'm going to share with you that you can experience as a real estate investor. Now you're thinking greater wealth, increased cash flow, yes. More time, more freedom, yes. We'll get to that list. But first and foremost, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving celebration with your family, with your friends, however it is you chose to observe the holiday. We had a great time with family, with extended family. And personally, I took advantage of the fact that I am real estate retired, that I have a completely open schedule, with the exception of doing this radio program with you. My schedule is wide open, and that's really one of those benefits, perhaps, that we'll talk about later. So we headed out a full week, week and a half or so ahead of time to our little hideaway in East Texas. We beat the rush, we beat the traffic, we didn't deal with any of that travel stress. In fact, I'm coming to you today from the RV bunker. We're about an hour east of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's parked. I keep it parked when we're not traveling on a little bit of land. It's a few acres in the country that we bought from some family, actually, several years ago. They were actually undergoing some financial hardship when my wife and I helped them out. Helped them retain their house on the land. We kept the property and the family. Good for everybody. Now that family has since passed, but now my wife's grandmother and uncle, another relative, they live in a small place on this property as well. Separated, right? It's some acreage. We wound up tearing down the original house by hand. I did that by hand. Lots of fun, but it was too far gone to recover, to do what we normally do in terms of renovation. And we've just built a little oasis. It's a big RV carport built around the old brick fireplace from that old house. Cool place to hang out, and we've just been doing a lot of work. And working on the burn pile, things like that, working the land. And I've had a lot of time to just let my mind wander. And I thought about the coming holiday as it was approaching, what people are thankful for, what we are thankful for, and to put a theme to this show, just how real estate investing has been a boon to our family and to so many people that I know that have taken the plunge and become real estate investors, whether that's investing as we started out doing 10 years ago in single family rental houses around Dallas-Fort Worth, or whether that's going down the route of apartments. We do both of those as members at Lifestyles Unlimited. So it's been a huge thing for our family and for, like I said, for so many people that I know in this space. So let's talk about that. 10 benefits of becoming a real estate investor. Again, these apply whether you do single family or apartments. Typically, there's some interplay there, some growth. But benefit number one relates to family. This is a family time of the year, Thanksgiving. We've got other holidays, Christmas coming up. And, most people that I know, and we were the same way, start out as real estate investors with their family in mind. There's more of a practical standpoint, really, trying to ease some pain or maybe some pressure somewhere by just creating some extra monthly cash flow. And that can be with one single family rental house, just one, that brings you $200 to $500 a month in extra cash flow. That's extra money that you're earning, that you're actually retaining. It's not like the money you put in your 401k. Maybe there's a dividend payout. It stays in that 401k or that IRA. But with our rental houses, I get that money every month. And that extra couple $100, $200, $400, $500, that can go a long way, especially in our current economy. But what's better is that grows. Whether whether that's through more and more houses. Let's say you get to 10 houses. Then your net cash flow every month that you're pocketing is somewhere between $2,000, maybe $5,000 a month, somewhere in that range. And that leads to much less stress for you, a better family experience. And for a lot of us, that means more time with family. Like I just said, we were able to come out here a full week and a half early. My son got to see his great-grandmother, spend a lot of time with her, his uncle, and so on. For other investors, that means spending time with maybe it's with family that are ill, in bad shape, need your support. You're able to intervene and be around your family much more often. That's the bottom line there. You're not bridled to a job. You're not bridled to a cubicle. In my case, right, real estate retired, and that allows for these gifts that real estate investing brings. So family, I think that's the biggest part of this story today, given that we have just seen Thanksgiving, and that is a big family holiday. I hope you enjoyed it with yours. But that's just one of the benefits that I'm going to talk about today. We've got 9 more. We're taking a look at 10 benefits that you will experience or can experience as a real estate investor. Many people think about the money side of things, the wealth, the cash flow, and that is certainly part of it. But there are a lot of things that come from creating that wealth and creating the cash flow. And I want you to think about those as well, especially in light of the Thanksgiving holiday. That's a big family holiday here in the United States that we just all experienced. I hope you got where you were going okay and got back okay. If you're back home already, you may not be. I'm not. But family number one is the big recipient of the benefits of real estate. We ease our stress levels when we just create a little bit of extra cash flow through one apartment investment or one single family house that we've invested in as a rental. But we don't stop there. Typically, people don't stop there. You continue to grow through more houses or more apartment investments, and you create more and more cash flow. And eventually, you just have time. That money that translates to more time, and you're able to spend more time with your family. Benefit number one. Benefit number two, it's not just family out there, friends, right? I mentioned in opening the show, I hope you had a good time with your friends and family out there. And, just like we said with family, sometimes it's the more practical side of just getting one house that's creating more disposable income for you, $200 to $300, $400, $500 a month. Well, simply put, now you have more money to do those things with your friends that you've been avoiding, been putting off because of inflation, or you've got a lot of kids. I've got one kid, and he is eating a hole in our pocket at times, so I fully understand that. And if you've got multiple, I get that. You think you can't afford it. Well, creating this passive income, creating this additional cash flow, more disposable income perhaps, that gives you that ability now to go see those friends that you've really been having a hankering to go visit and I don't know, go to the baseball game, whatever it is you like to do with your friends. You're able to do that because you have more income. And eventually you have more time as well through the financial freedom that we build through that passive income, time to spend with those friends. Again, sports, travel, maybe it's common hobbies. So your existing network of friends benefits. You benefit in that sense as well. But what I've experienced as a real estate investor is it goes far beyond that. What I've wound up seeing is that I and many of the investors at Lifestyles Unlimited that I know have created a very tight network of new friends within that real estate industry. I think this happens naturally. If you're like I am, you dive in, you jump in with both feet, and you surround yourself with people that are in this business, and you make friends. And a lot of the Lifestyles Unlimited community is very close knit. We're 50,000 members strong. There are a lot of people to get to know. You're gonna rub elbows with somebody that is a natural fit for you, and your friendship circle will grow, and that's a benefit. That is ultimately a benefit. I can remember, actually, fellow radio host Al Gordon. I don't remember when he did the show, but he's out of San Antonio, and he went on a great scuba diving trip with another member who's out of Houston. So this network within Lifestyles Unlimited connected them, and they have a shared hobby, and they were able to take that on the road together. Again, because they've created that passive. They're both real estate retired. They're both financially free. So they've got the time. I don't know where they went, somewhere in the Caribbean. But that's a result of the things we've built in the background just by starting with that first single family house and continuing to grow. So friends and family, numbers 1 and 2 there. Benefit number 3, and this one's a little more maybe esoteric. It's getting a different mindset through real estate investing. What do I mean? And is it the chicken or the egg? Which comes first? Well, what I mean, it's a couple of things. First and foremost, we talk at Lifestyles Unlimited quite a lot about the abundance mindset. And this can take some work. This can really take some work. A lot of people come from a glass half empty point of view. And we work a lot with our mentors at the Financial Freedom Program, the 2-day seminar, and just talking through our free workshop, for example. We talk about mindset and attaining that abundance mindset because that will help you see greater opportunity. You come to realize that the pie is not finite. It's not a fixed set of pie pieces, and if you take that piece over there, I have one less available to me. It's not like that at all. You can grow that pie, and you can create opportunity for yourself and for others, and you'll see more opportunity once you get that mindset into place. And once you see opportunity instead of seeing none, you're more willing to take action. And that different mindset, it leads to really more broadly an improved outlook in life and optimism in general. And I think that's a huge benefit. Just attaining that broader change in your mindset brings a better life to you. And I'll tell you, when I go to the Lifestyles Unlimited case studies in Dallas, I've been out on road trips, gone to them in Austin, other places. The Lifestyles Unlimited members that I talk to, they have a great outlook on life. The ones that have been around and made some progression, they have improved their situations in some way, whether it is creating that extra cash flow that I talked about already through 1 single family house, 2 single family houses, 5. My wife and I continued to build into double digits. That cash flow has allowed them and us and their families and ours to breathe easier, to have a better life. Or maybe it's creating that extra wealth for their families. Maybe they don't need the cash flow. A lot of people that start down this path, we started down this path with getting out of the job in mind. But a lot of people, they love what they do. So now you've got extra income coming in from those rental houses, those apartments, plus the job income, and they're building wealth at a far faster clip than you would ever imagine for their families. You can do the same. And maybe it just comes down to having more time, like we talked about already, to spend with those friends and with that family. So mindset, though, that's what ultimately will get you there, is shifting that perspective. And Lifestyles Unlimited helps you with that shift. Again, it is difficult. If you're, I was 38, 39 or so when I joined Lifestyles Unlimited. You are at that age, in your 40s, 50s, whenever a lot of people join, you're very entrenched with the way you think, the way you've grown up, and it does take some work. But being around people that have already gone down that path, boy, that rubs off on you. Those friends that I mentioned that you make through real estate investing, that rubs off on you. And what you'll find as you've adjusted that mindset, that's benefit number 3, is benefit number 4 to real estate investing. You will unlock something deep within you that maybe you didn't know was there. A lot of people have this. They're aware of it. They use it. They leverage it. And I'm talking about the entrepreneurial spirit. It's there. It's within you. It's just buried in a lot of cases. And this follows that shift in mindset. Again, we start to see opportunity. We're willing to try new things. Wow, I've bought 5 single family houses. Look at me. And you should pat yourself on the back. That's a lot. That's good. Real estate's easier than you think it might be. But once you take that step and you've built to that level, that's wonderful. And then you get to 10 or you get into apartments. You're willing then to try new things because you realize that when I take a calculated risk, and it's calculated, we mitigate the risks of real estate through our education, our mentors, etc. You become more and more willing to take calculated risk. You've learned how to create that real estate business and grow it. And some people go on to apply that ability to other opportunities. Some of my favorite hard money lenders started as real estate investors, just owning a couple single family houses, and grew it into something big.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a part of Lifestyles Unlimited? Del Walmsley tells you what to expect when you join us for the next live online free workshop.
We've been here for 30 years. Over 30 years, we've had and or do have roughly 50,000 plus members all over the United States. We have retired tens of thousands of people, and it's just incredible what you're going to find that you're going to be in here. Not only are you going to find the greatest amount of information and education, you're going to find the people, the most open people you've ever met in your entire life.
Come meet the people at Lifestyles Unlimited who will help you change your life and empower you to stop depending on a paycheck, your 401k, IRA, or Social Security for your future. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. At the free workshop, we'll teach you the 5 ways to make money with real estate, cash flow, equity capture, appreciation, equity buildup, and the tax advantages. Like Dell says, we'll open our books and show you how the numbers work with both single family and multifamily case studies. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Listening to Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. Now, here's your host.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family, with your friends. We certainly did. And on today's show, just as a function of Thanksgiving, I spent a lot of time out in the country working on the burn pile out where we keep the RV bunker, just staring into the flames and just thinking about this thing that we're talking about today, the benefits for you of real estate investing. And some of these are maybe a little more off in the distance, maybe some things that you have not thought about. Typically, people think about the wealth aspect, creating that cash flow. That's what we talk about, the 5 ways that we make money. We talk about that on this program all the time, and creating wealth. Big part of what we do. And people come at this real estate investing, that is, from different perspectives, different angles. But over the years, I've seen a lot of ancillary benefits, things you maybe less tangible things that maybe you have not thought about. And we're kind of getting into those now. Obviously, there's the time with family, time with friends, number 1 and number 2. I think those are very, very important at this time of year. And when you're financially free, you have that time. You have that ability to spend more time with those people in your lives. Alongside that, And this might be a chicken and egg scenario. Sometimes it takes a shift in mindset to take that first step to become a real estate investor. But what I've found alongside that is that as I continue to grow my business, my mindset, my perspective has changed. That's a third benefit. And that's a huge piece. You become more optimistic, which I think in life is a wonderful thing when that glass is half full and not half empty. And you unlock, we were just talking about this, benefit number 4, you unlock something in yourself that may have been buried since birth, which is that entrepreneurial spirit. It's in there somewhere. And as you grow your real estate business, you realize that is there. You want to do more. You want to do something else for your community, for your church, perhaps. That is a certain level of entrepreneurial spirit when you get involved at that level within your community. Or maybe it's growing more businesses. Look at Del Walmsley. He has founded any number of businesses over his 3+ decades with Lifestyles Unlimited. He founded Lifestyles Unlimited over 30 years ago. After his success in the single family and then the apartment space. And as a result of his growth as a real estate investor, he's continued to build businesses. That is, I think, a prime example of leveraging that entrepreneurial spirit. Benefit number 4. Benefit number 5 for you as a real estate investor, and I always open the show saying that we are working on your financial freedom. And that is it. This is the big one that fuels a lot of what we have spoken about so far. It's that cash flow, that passive income that we build through our real estate investments, as well as the wealth that we create through equity, through ownership. We own houses, we own apartments. I am a partial investor in a number of apartment communities now. We just started doing the apartments a handful of years ago. We started out 10+ years ago with single family. You can figure out which route works best for you. But ultimately, we build that cash flow, and financial freedom occurs when you've created enough of that passive income, that passive cash flow, to meet your monthly household expenses. And if you don't know what those are, a lot of people don't, sit down and just track your spending for a period of time. If you use a lot of credit cards, go and look at the past few statements. Go back 12 months. Figure out what that number is per month. And it may vary, right? I paid my insurance on my car or on this RV, for example. That month has a pop. right? I may want to spread that out over the 12 months just to get a better, more even feel. But ultimately, work out that number, and that becomes your target when you start to invest. For example, if you as a family spend, I don't know, $5,000 per month, well, that's what you want to start to build in your passive income. First house maybe brings in, let's say, $500. If you can repeat that, you just need 10. If it's $200, you need a few more. But ultimately, you have enough money coming in from your real estate investments that you've covered your monthly expenses, and, well, you really don't have to work. That is financial freedom. And you can go one step farther and continue to invest. This assumes that you're making more than you're spending, but you can go one step farther and invest until you have offset that earned income from the job. Then you really can retire. You no longer need that paycheck. You no longer need that paycheck. You are financially free. You are what we come, and this leads to the next benefit, actually, benefit number 6, time. Financial freedom leads to time. Financial freedom leads to being what we call real estate retired. If you don't want to work anymore, you can leave that job. I personally did this at the start of the year. Before that, I had downshifted to part-time. I said, we have enough income coming in from the single-family houses. I'm still enjoying my job. I like what I do. I just don't want to do as much of it. So I downshifted to part-time. I finally said, this is enough. Start of the year, I'm out. That's what a lot of members do. They build up that passive income, and they leave the workforce. Not all of them. If you're sitting there thinking, but I love what I do. Hey, keep doing what you do. Some people do love what they do. Some of our members love what they do in their work. But perhaps they enjoy a bit more flexibility there. Ultimately, either way, they've bought back their time. And they've grown that passive income to where they and you can now control your own time. And again, for us, coming back to the RV bunker out here in the middle of the woods in East Texas, that was great because we were able to hit the road a week or so ahead of the Thanksgiving rush. We didn't want to be on the road, even though it's about an hour and a half drive. I didn't want to be on the road in that Thanksgiving rush, so why not get an earlier start? More control of your time, and I think this example demonstrates this, because I don't know how you are as a driver, but I get stressed out when we're in heavy traffic, and more control of your time, what does that do? It leads to less stress. You can avoid those situations. If you traveled, think back, if you are one of those 55 million people out on the road or at the airports, taking the train, whatever, if you traveled on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, think back to that level of stress that was just coursing through your body. You can adjust your time. And that's what we did. Not to mention, hey, if you're traveling by plane, off-cycle travel, guess what? It's usually a little bit cheaper. When you have flexibility of time that comes with financial freedom, that comes with everything that we do as real estate investors, you can just manage your life in an entirely different way. So financial freedom is one of the big benefits. Benefit number 5. Benefit number 6 is freedom of time. Those two kind of go hand in hand. One leads to the other. And what you'll find over time is that benefit number 7, you've become a much more knowledgeable person. You'll grow your knowledge base. Being a good investor, in my view, starts with becoming educated. And if I think back 10 plus years ago when my wife and I joined Lifestyles Unlimited, we knew nothing about buying, renovating, renting, and managing a single family house, let alone a whole portfolio of those things, let alone investing as passive investors in apartments. But we started becoming educated. And this is where Lifestyles Unlimited can really help you. There's so much education that we provide on single family investing and on apartment investing. Whether, as an apartment investor, you can be a lead, a syndicator. You put that project together, you manage it. Or, as I prefer to do, you can be a passive. You put your money into the project and you wait for your returns. Or you can become an independent rental owner. You just buy your own apartment community, all by yourself, you and your family. You choose. You have your options there. But again, I knew nothing 10 years ago. But Lifestyles Unlimited gave me that education base to very confidently be able to go down that path as a real estate investor. And I see so many people that come from such disparate backgrounds that, like me, had no no experience, and are now successful syndicators on their third or fourth apartment investment, or successful single family investors that are now on their 10th or 20th house. I see people go much farther. It's just having more knowledge, and being a good investor does start with becoming educated. I do think you want to have that foundational understanding of how the general process around buying, renovating, leasing, and operating a single family house works so that you can operate as a good operator. But fundamentally, you want to have an education as to single family and apartment investing. And we're always learning. I think that's the point I want to make is we don't just stop. Then really that's what it comes down to as well. Real estate is just such a fundamental part of our broader economy. You grow to understand that industry better. Benefit number 8, greater resources. There's that knowledge base that we just talked about. That certainly flows into this. That's part of that. And capital. But more importantly, I think it's access to capital, access to other people's money, learning how to work with lenders. And that's not necessarily just that conventional loan that you're used to thinking about from buying your own personal house. Resources, private lenders, that's hard money, family, friends. There's a lot of capital out there. But it's not just capital when it comes to resources. We talked already about time, and you'll have more of that. And we talked about network. You have huge resources at your fingertips just from your fellow investors and your friends. And as you grow that network, as that network expands around you, and that will happen, benefit number 9. And this is, again, a little bit less tangible, but options. It seems pretty cut and dry, but let's just take an example. Let's say you keep building that portfolio of single family rental houses. Let's say you start with 1 and you get to 5 and you get to 10. Let's say you keep going. Not everybody does. Some people start to divest and move into apartments or something else. But let's say you get to 20 houses. Sounds like a lot? Nah, you can do it over time. You know, the process, it's easy. It's very repeatable. That's what makes real estate such a good tool to build your financial freedom. And to build wealth, it's not that hard. Real estate is easy. People are hard. You get in your own way. We have to change that. But let's say you do it. You get to 20 houses. Now what? Well, if you look at the table, if you spread everything out, you've got a ton of options. 20 houses, that's a lot of cash flow. And that's a lot of passive income. You can just keep riding that cash flow into the sunset. Or maybe you sell the far opposite extreme end of the spectrum. Sell the whole thing. Sell the whole portfolio all at once to one investor. Get all that capital out. You've enjoyed the cash flow. We've had our equity build up. We've had our equity capture through the start of the process. And we've seen some appreciation. Let's get that equity out. You can move into apartments, maybe as a passive as I'm doing. Or maybe you just sell one house. What do you do now? Well, you've got all that equity back out. You lose a little bit of that cash flow. Well, you can reinvest it into more houses. You can reinvest that into apartments. You can retain that for some project that you have on the side. Because again, as we discussed, one of the benefits is you've discovered that entrepreneurial spirit. And as I said, eventually you're going to get to this point where you will pause as well. And you're going to look back and you're going to realize benefit number 10, greater wealth and legacy. And this goes back to the start of the show. This goes back to family, creating generational wealth that you can pass on to your heirs, to your kids, to your family, and building a legacy. And this is not anything that was on my radar personally at all 10 years ago when my wife and I began this process. We were back at stage number 1, or benefit number 1, thinking about the family perspective, thinking about the fact that my wife hated her job, that it was physically bad on her, mentally bad on her, and we needed to create the cash flow to get her out of there. Boom, we did it. Great. Benefit number 1, helped our family. Fast forward 10 years. Well, now we have a little guy, a little son. So what was not on my radar at all 10 years ago is very much on my radar now. So as we go through this process, we look to the wealth building aspect, not just the cash flow aspect, to continue to grow that portfolio, not just for ourselves, but for him. And you'll find that you'll get to this point as well. And this is a benefit that you want to work on. We talk about family offices. One of our presenters at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo, he talks about this. I've heard him the past year or so talk about the family office. And it's a notion of just continuing to do what's in the best interest of growing that wealth for your family. By the way, speaking of the Wealth and Passive Income Expo, that is coming up in just a few short months. That's going to be mid-February. That's actually going to be in my area in Dallas-Fort Worth this year. It's in Las Colinas at the Toyota Music Factory there in that area. Great venue. Going to be a lot of opportunity, a lot of education. We talked about that already. One of the benefits is becoming more knowledgeable as a person, as an investor. But ultimately, get out there. You'll see what happens as you get to number 10 and you begin creating greater wealth. You'll see kids at this event. You'll realize how all of this interplays, and you start to think about legacy. So we've talked today about 10 benefits of real estate investing, the benefits you experience with your family and your friends in mind. Number 1 and 2, very important. Number 3, you get to a better mindset as a person. And number 4, you unlock that entrepreneurial spirit. Ultimately, number 5, big benefit, you get to financial freedom. Number 6, you enjoy more time. Number 7, you've grown that knowledge base. You're just a more knowledgeable person about many things. You'll be surprised. And you enjoy greater resources. Those lead to more options in your life. And benefit number 10, as we just talked about, greater wealth and creating a legacy for your heirs. So wherever you are on your trajectory, some of those should be appealing to you. Some of those should get you thinking. And to help you get thinking, go to our free workshop. You can learn more if you go to freeworkshoplivestream.com. I thank you for listening. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. You have a great day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.